a beautiful morning for a low-key equestrian competition at Masterson Station Park. WKYT's Alexa Minton ponies up to learn more about what makes this horse park so special.
The sun was shining on Masterson Station Park as riders and their steeds attended the 2023 Benefit Hunter Pace to support the Masterson Equestrian Trust, which promotes the preservation of the public equestrian facility located in the park.
And they can go along and it's as if they were on a fox hunt. We make it a team effort, and we time them, and we'll have prizes at the end of the day for the teams that come in closest to the optimum time.
Around 300 riders were set to attend the event, with some even participating in the costume contest, dressing up themselves and their horse as well to enjoy both a cross-country track and an obstacle course on the property. A variety of rider levels and horses were in attendance, with even some retired thoroughbreds enjoying the property and showcasing what it means to the equestrian community.
A lot of them, this is their second career, so they've been on the track. You know, they turn into a lovely second career, but also just to have the land open. I mean, how many places in the country have we seen where we lose all this land?
And it's the preservation of the land that the Trust is hoping to encourage with this event, as this is one of the only free and public equestrian parks in the country, located right here in the heart of horse country.
It was important to the equestrian community that we try to maintain this gem of a property. We're so lucky to have it.
In Lexington, Alexa Minton, WKYT.